Hi, Ebru.
Hi, Sandeep. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
So it's lockdown times, and I believe you must be doing a lot of yogas.
I am. Yes,
You are a yoga expert. I was sure you must be doing a lot of yoga out there.
I am. Yeah, a lot of
So how's everything?
meditation, yoga.
Ah, very good, very good.
Yes, yes, yes.
I need to learn from you sometime. So how's everything? How these are such difficult times, and how are
Very
you coping
sobering
with these
times.
times?
Yes,
Yeah, very
very,
troubling
very
time.
sobering times. Yes, I mean, both on individual basis, on community, on business. We are in this all together. I mean, the whole globe is suffering. So I don't think that there has been such an one single issue that unfortunately has united us all. And I think I am looking at how to learn from this time, actually this time that we will tell our grandchildren about, and we have to make more use of what's happening right now. So I think it's essential to kind of like try to read in between the lines, I mean, and we have time to do this, so we have to settle down, and we have to read in between the lines, both on an individual level as well as on a business level.
Business level. We have to change ourselves. We have to learn new things. We have to mutate ourselves. Actually, mutation probably with the right word, because we have been the way we have been working and living for the last few decades. Probably it will change. Everything will change.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree.
So, at at personal level and professional level, what changes do you feel have come, and what do you think? How you will make adjustments to these times?
I think it's too early to make very clear predictions. So it's very important to acknowledge what's happening right now. And there's a lot of information, there's a lot of misinformation as well, regarding the virus, regarding what's going to happen. So I don't think anybody right now knows how this situation will evolve into. I mean, we definitely know that on the business level, that there will be a reduction in global spending. Some say 40%, some say 50%, but definitely so. I mean, we're seeing this across all industries. Businesses are shrinking. So how do we really maintain the shrinkage and not turn it into a whole disruption and closure? So that's what we're looking at, the whole industry on the industry level. That's what we're looking at. I mean, there are many things happening on the personal level. Of course, it's a learning process. So I'm a very positive person. So I try to look at the positive side of things and try to learn from the situations. So I'm trying very hard to kind of, first of all, uh, again, acknowledge this situation, assess myself, how I am reacting to it. And I think this is also relevant on the business level. It's very important, first of all, to make an assessment of our situation on the company level, on the industry level, on the community level. Look at our relationships, look at how we've built our communities, how we've related to our customers, how we've related to our families, the whole supply chain. So the first assessment is very important, I think. And then as time goes by, I think we will be able to make more predictions into the future. Um, I'm reading a lot of reports. I'm trying to understand and learn from different industries, not just looking at the fashion industry, so that we can benefit and put to use what's happening in the different industries in our industry as well.
So what's happening in Surte is a company from Pakistan. So what do you see the Pakistan textile industry, how they are adjusting themselves and how they are responding to this crisis? And as Surti, how you are doing what you want to do?
Yeah. So we are currently in lockdown. and the lockdown is extended till April 30th. And before we went into lockdown at Sorti, we wanted to make sure that we can again bring safety and healthy to our employees. That was our priority when we were, before we went into lockdown. So we implemented many measures to make sure that we can ensure a safe working environment. And currently we are also we have helped build an isolation ward as well as an intensive care unit at the
In the
National
factory. Okay,
National
that's right.
Institute of Child Health in Karachi. And
Very good.
this National Institute of Child Health in Karachi actually caters to the needs of the low-income families. So again, it's how you relate to your community defines your authenticity as well. It's not any marketing effort or any, I would even not call this a CSR effort. It's like it's coming out from a very genuine direction with a very heartfelt reach out so that we can really relate to our communities. So we are also looking at what we can do once the lockdowns are lifted, what we can do again to make sure that we can guarantee a safe and healthy working environment for our employees. This is our priority. So we're looking more at the human side currently. And of course, business is important. It's what makes us move forward. But I think it's very important to look at the human side of the business at times as such. And this comes through the leadership. I mean,
Yeah.
this just doesn't happen all at once in one day. You can't have this. You either have it or you don't. And if you have it, you put it into action. So we're making a lot of efforts in Sorti to make sure that we put all this in action, actually.
That's very good, because this is the time really when we can make a difference to the communities around us.
Yes.
And be a part of national struggle. I would say, the nation is struggling. Every nation is struggling, and we really need to contribute to our nation.
Yes, we do.
I was looking at some reports from China. A lot of factories have started there, and they're taking, a lot of precautions in terms of their very standardized way of working, and disinfecting the factories 3 times a day, or taking the temperature of the workers 2 or 3 times a day. All those systems, they have built up those systems by which they are able to come back. So I think probably most of the companies, like in our textile industry and other industries also, probably will have to go through this kind of actions, if we want
For
to,
sure.
if and
Yes.
when we restart.
Yes, for sure.
So, and for, you are a Turkish, and you are working in a Pakistani company, so you have the experience of both the countries. So what do you see? How is the response in terms of to this crisis is similar in both the countries, or do you find there are certain characteristics which are there and in that country, or in this country? How do you compare the two countries in response to this crisis?
Of course, there's the difference of governance regulations. So some of the regulations are different in Pakistan and in Turkey, but both countries are in lockdown right now. And considering the denim industry, none of the factories in both locations, in both countries, are in operation. We don't know the extension of the lockdown in Turkey. Actually, it's not imposed by the government, but most of the companies are taking the very responsible action, and they are not being in operation right now. And we don't know, like I said, the extent of this lockdown. In Pakistan, it's April 30th, but again, it's not for sure if we will have a further extension or not. We have a development center in Turkey. It's in Çorlu, and we've closed it down. And we're, again, monitoring all the news, all the information, but it doesn't look very likely that we will be operational soon in Turkey as well.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's all. I mean, most of the countries have similar responses, and everybody's trying to come out of this situation in some way.
Sure. Yeah.
So, in terms of consumer, because now a consumer is already, consumer around the world has faced this problem, and most of the people are in lockdown. Do you think this is changing the perception of consumers over a period of time, and it is already changed, and it will change further in relation to fashion and shopping?
For sure. Like we've mentioned that the global spending is reduced 40 to 50%, and apparel industry, fashion industry is impacted in a huge way. So we will definitely live through the consequences. And in the denim industry, the consumer had already started to become more aware of the sustainable impact, the environmental impact that the industry was making. And now I think we will see more value-driven consumption. There will be a need for more authenticity and purposeful design. This is going to become very important. People will want to buy less, and when they buy, they will look for quality and value, and that value I don't think is related only to the products. It's related more to the system. So who made my clothes hashtag will become more of a mainstream, and transparency, storytelling will become very important. The other aspect is we are now embracing a digital life. So we will see more on-demand consumption happening, and this on-demand consumption will also drive on-demand manufacturing. And again, we need to look into what this means for denim and jeans, how we can make perfect fits. And definitely data-driven businesses will be very important, because we will not produce for landfills anymore. And I think this is going to be very important. So we will need to get the real data, and drop business models will be very important. So we will get the real data to make sure that we can produce what's going to sell out in the market. And consumers, they will demand more storytelling, but again, more authentic storytelling, digital and authentic storytelling, not just explaining the beauty of the product, but more explaining where it's coming from, how it's made, what it takes to make one product, what's the environmental impact. So all these are going to be embedded in one single product. So we're looking at more of a system through products, through collections. And I think it's very important to understand that we are now embracing, again, a no-touch economy. And it has totally different dynamics than what we are used to. So we have to break it down to understand what this means for our industry, for our business. We worked out a digital garment at Sorti, and this is how we launched our cradle to cradle first denim fabric. And it was tough. This was 2 years ago. And I think,
I saw that. Yeah.
yes, so a lot of innovation came in between that period in the recent 2 years. And we have to kind of like understand, again, denim is not very easy to work out digitally, because you have so many different aspects of the fabric that you integrate into denim washing, which makes actually the product itself. So we have to understand how we can cater to all these needs. I mean, there's a lot to be done. So progressive companies, innovative companies, creative companies who can really relate to all these different aspects of the future will accomplish, to exist, actually.
The digital denim that you mentioned just now, cradle to cradle, can you explain a little more? I mean, how you really create a denim digitally? Is it you start from the yarn stage, or how does it work
It's
out?
actually a total system design, and First of all, it's a third-party authorization, certification product. And it's, again, not just a product, the system needs to be authorized as well. So it's how you design a product. You can use only certain ingredients, raw materials. You can use only certain type of dye stuff. And you need to define a process which is secure to produce a cradle-to-cradle product. And then you go through all this very rigorous, again, certification, and you get your product certified. So we have a cradle-to-cradle, both fabric and jeans garment manufacturing certification. Sorti was the first company, first vertical company. We wanted to utilize, our advantage of being a vertical company, and this is how we approached the system. And we did not really go for one product. We went again for the system, and we now have a defined process of cradle to cradle, not just a single product. Any product that can pass through that defined process is cradle to cradle certified.
Yeah, you mentioned a couple of points. So one is storytelling to the consumer. Now that has been one of the, I would say, one of the weakest link in the chain whenever, we consider what we're trying to communicate to the consumer. Consumer is lost. He doesn't know really which story to follow, which brand to follow. Every brand is claiming we are this, we are 100% sustainable, we are like this. There's no uniformity. So that storytelling is important, but uniformity in storytelling is not there. And I don't know how it will come again. Will it come or not?
I think it needs to, again, we need to look at the system. We need to look at the value definition. And this cannot happen by individual companies. We need to look at our community, our whole value chain. The brands have to work together with the manufacturers to really authentically create all these stories. We have the technology. We have invested in the technology. The denim industry, jeanswear, we have invested in the technology. Now it's time to really make sure that that information gets through to the consumers as well, because they want to embrace authentic consumption. It's not just, authentic manufacturing, but they want to embrace authentic consumption. So the whole supply chain needs to transform into a value chain. And there will be companies who will lose because, we know that sustainability has been also a marketing campaign for some of the companies along the supply chain. So this has to change. This definitely has to change.
But I think this will be possible basically when the government intervenes, whether let's say taking an example of electronic products, the government has certain standards, they set up the standards and rating and 5-star ratings or whatever kind of ratings they do. That enables the things, everybody fall in line and, create the products according to those standards. That is something what I feel is missing in our industry. And there has to be some kind of global standards which have to come, which will enable this story to become genuine.
Yes, and it's not very easy because it's such a huge industry and very segmented and geographically, all globally dispersed. So I think, again, it's very important to break it down and make it understandable to consumers so that consumers can actually make the right choice. And we actually have a totally platform totally dedicated to communicate with the consumer of what's happening in the industry. It's called Future Possibilities. It's got its own site, and we were conducting a seminar series at the Denim City in Amsterdam, and now we will be doing it online. So in the coming few weeks, we will launch our Future Possibilities seminar series online to, again, connect with the community, but more again to inform the consumers. I think global standards is great, but it's very difficult for that global standard to be standardized. So before we go there, we need to kind of build that link with the consumer and with the right brands so that we can inform them the choice they have. You know, that's what we need to talk about.
So it would be like educative tutorials for them, and they can understand
Yes,
what's happening behind the scenes.
yes.
Okay. So coming to my next question is again from your one of the answers that the future business will be data driven. So when we are talking about data driven, are we really giving a higher importance to online sales? Because online sales, it's easier to collect the data. I mean, of course, offline sales also is possible, but the whole supply chain, unless it is integrated in a way that the data is collected at every point, it's not so easy to go data driven.
Yes, there are some companies, some brands who have been already working on this idea extensively. The whole idea of influencer drop models, where drop collections come through the influencers, and then the brands test drive the market, and then again go back to manufacturing with that information. Again, with no touch economy that we have now embarked, I think
That's a nice,
brands
nice
will
phrase, I would
be,
say.
yeah, brands will feel obliged to read that data. It's going to be very important. And then, you know, there's also the problem with the returns on e-commerce. So how to really cut down on that? Partially it's coming through fits. So how to really make the perfect fits, again, through AI driven models, so that we can introduce perfect products that the consumers will be likely to keep rather than return, you know.
Yeah. Now coming to a painful question, you know, it's the crisis we have been facing, and the cancellations by big retailers around the world. So I'm just generally comparing different regions. This I really always ask my guests, you know, because they are placed in different regions. So let's say Pakistan is a region. Is the level of cancellations really high out there, or in some countries like in Bangladesh, I saw that there was quite a high level of cancellation. But of course, some brands they seem to be fulfilling the commitments. So I've seen it differs from region to region. So it's probably a brand strategy to not give equal importance to each region, and probably give more importance to one region and give less importance to one region.
I would not be able to make 100% correct comment here. What I see is, yes, some brands are fulfilling their responsibilities. Some, you know, are still in discussion because they are also suffering as well. My point of view here is that, you know, I'm not reacting to fast fashion as some of my other, you know, industry fellows are reacting. So we need fast fashion, but we need fast fashion to transform, and we need fast fashion to survive and become sustainable and responsible. So it's the current situation doesn't allow us to say end of fast fashion. End of fast fashion the way it is, yes, but we need to kind of like come together to look at this model and see how we can really transform this. Because fast fashion actually did not start to really consume the industry. It started with the idea to democratize fashion. And it needs to kind of like go back to that. So that's why I'm saying over and over, maybe I'm hooked on that. We need to look at the system rather than like singling out issues. And again, here, looking at the system, we have to collaboratively make the system work. So this is why the brands and the manufacturers, the whole supply chain need to sit together and try to really cater to the future. It's nothing we've seen before. And I'm trying to also understand what is happening when brands are opening up on the luxury level, on the mid-market, on the high street level. You know, if brands have stocks, if they don't have stocks, if those stocks could be repurposed. We need to look at all of these, and it needs, like, you know, really sitting together and looking at the situation together.
There has to be a lot of collaboration and probably more strategic cooperation between the supply chain entirely. I mean, it is probably what I feel is that in future the relationships will not be based on order based. You know, like, okay, I'm getting 10 cents cheaper here, I move on to this factory, or you know, those kind of relations we have seen in the past. Probably it has to be much more strategic, much more collaborative, and much more deeper, whether it is financial or other involvements. So that
For
would
sure.
only make it possible.
Yes, for sure. I totally agree.
In terms of denim fabrics, what are the major changes you see that coming to denim fabrics as a product? Are we going to move in similar direction? What we're moving? Of course, sustainability is a different question. I'll come to that. But apart from that, the denim fabrics as a product, do we need to invent ourselves and change our segments, or repurpose ourselves? I don't know. What we should do?
Again, it's a broad question, and there's a broad answer as well. And we need to, I mean, a lot of development has already been happening in the denim industry through technological advancements. And we have seen, I was one of the first ones to introduce the idea of functional technological denim fabrics into the industry. You know, I had a great hope for that. And this, we're talking like 10, 15 years ago. And in the meantime, not so much really happened in that category, because there's a certain limitation as to how the fabrics are manufactured. But designed for purpose, yes. And then we have seen many fiber, you know, new fiber, raw material integration into the industry, Dyneema for durability, four-way stretch for, again, higher performance. Some outdoor brands, sportswear brands embraced the use of denim fabric. Again, limited, but they did. And, you know, again, good ideas like blood circulation, face-changing materials, Cool Max, a lot of ideas. I think we need to look at the pollution reactive area right now. So that's an area which is really growing, and I think fashion could play a big role there. Anti-pollution gas sensors is a fast growing industry, and we will have those gas sensors probably everywhere, on our windows, on our phones, and on our clothing. So denim could actually play an active role, again, thinking out of the box, how we can really embrace more and integrate more of the climate crisis, pollution crisis features to make our jeans, make our denim be a solution to all these problems. And we need to work with cross-industry innovation. So it cannot happen just with our industry thinking way. We need to kind of come together with, you know, I would say crazy minds, and operate in labs and try to take those ideas to mass production. And actually, we've seen great startups coming up, you know, with that. With those kind of ideas happening. Fashion for Good, you know, their accelerator is producing amazing companies. So that's one thing to look at. And we need to kind of get together and collaborate more with those startup ideas and see how we can bring them to mass production as well. That's one area, I think. But again, it's really early stages as to where the product will evolve. But definitely, speaking of denim, we have to bring back its value, its authenticity, but again, as a system, not as a product, but as a system. And of course, we have to look at the digital products as well. How we can
Okay.
digitalize the manufacturing, you know? That's something we need to look at.
And also selling. Also selling.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And how can we contribute to health? How can denim be a part of the health story?
Again, this anti-pollution area is one thing that we need to look at. And we can build awareness through our products as well. I mean, jeans and denim, they are ubiquitous. So all ages, all of the people, everyone wears denim. So we have to look how we can really, that's where the storytelling also comes in place, how we can really use denim as a change element for the future.
Because I was looking at some reports, I mean, as I told you in the beginning also, China, the factories, apparel factories, they are out there. Many of these factories are working on the manufacturing of PPE equipments, gowns and suits and all those things. So I don't know if we can sometime in the near future, we can reinvent ourselves as a health product. And, this denim can be a part of the health story in that way, that it can be used as a productive equipment by the health industry, by the professionals, by the doctors and other people, or the health workers. That could be a big thing,
Yeah, antibacterial has been there through fibers and through coatings for a long time. Antiviral is one area that denim hasn't touched yet, although there's one company right now claiming to have an antiviral component. Innovation is, something that we need to constantly look at, and it will become even more important, because how do we really add value to the products, to our denim and jeans? It's through only innovation. So the more we can enhance those products, the more reach out they will have.
In terms of digitalization, you already spoke. So, I mean, do you think let's say, over a period of next few months, we are out of this crisis, do you think we'll still retain a number of these, you can say, facilities we have been using to digitalize our lives in terms of professional lives? Because many people are seeing benefits in that. And it looks like, many of these things might become part of life, and we may not really want to leave them, even if we are out of the crisis sometime.
Yes, I think that will become some of the behavioral change will remain. So, traveling less, maybe. We've seen that some other systems, online and digital systems, work. So we don't really need to go all the way to another country to have a meeting. We're currently at Sorting working on an online version of our collection, digitized online version of our collection. And we want to, in the coming weeks, make one-to-one appointments with our customers so that we can take them through this system. It's happening with what we have available right now, but we can definitely enhance once everything goes back to being operational, we can enhance that system further. And that will save time and save costs for a lot of people, for a lot of companies. And it will make things more accessible. So the companies who are really investing in in catering digital solutions will have a better communication with their customers. That's definitely for sure. And the other thing is, now that everyone is at home in lockdown, people are investing in well-being, and that's an area that we need to look at, and how we can use denim as an element of well-being, and also comfort. So, can denim be as comfortable to become our daily homewear? So that's an area that we can in the shorter term look at as well. Some of those behaviors will remain.
The loungewears and homeware categories probably will be good categories for denim to delve into, go deep into.
Yeah.
What are the biggest positives you see from personally at personal level as well as at a professional level from this situation, from this crisis?
Yeah, like I said, probably we will end up producing for landfills. Sustainability might have a chance, sustainability might have a chance
You're
to,
not sure about it, that it will be really strong after this crisis?
I mean, in terms of global spending limitations, yes. But, in 2 years' time, when people go back to their normal level of earnings, I don't know what will happen. But sustainability might have an imposed chance on a more of a global scale. I'm not referring to individual cases, but I think that's the positive side. And we again have started thinking and linking individual cases, like climate change is embedded into business. It's not a concept out there happening on its own. So this is the time to really assess what's happening globally, and I am thinking that this could be a very big warning call for us, actually. The pandemic could be a warning call for something worse that could happen in the future through climate change, through all this disruption we are seeing, the unrest we are seeing happening globally. And again, it's very important how our industry responds to that. Because currently, we're not seeing climate crisis as a life and death issue. We're not. But what if, we come to the understanding that it's a life and death issue? Then you start thinking differently. I think this pandemic and the lockdowns gave us that signal. And on a personal level, I'm trying to make more use of my day. I am feeling very appreciative of the help I used to have and the help I have right now. So I feel huge appreciation for people who are working to make our lockdowns feel more safe
Okay.
and secure.
Okay.
Yes. And I'm very busy, actually. I mean, like, I have a work and life balance still, but I'm very busy because I have to cook, I have to clean, and work, and also take care of myself and my son. But we have a regular daily practice, yoga practice with my son this time, so he's taken up
Very
yoga.
good.
Yes.
That's very good.
Yes, and he's really improved a lot, and it's different kind of bonds that you make, actually, even at home with yourself. Initially with yourself, because it's more quiet right now.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I mean, for probably
Meditation is a very good time for meditation.
yes, I've been with the industry for over 3 decades, so over 30 years, and I always am on the road. So this is probably in the last 20 years, the only 4 weeks that I haven't traveled. And it's a new phase. I'm learning a lot. I'm learning a lot.
I'm sure all of us are. You know, do you wish that you have any uh, garment or apparel which you could wear, right in the morning for doing your yoga and meditation? Then when you're cooking, still it's there, and then you are taking care of your kids or have people at home, and still it's there. And when you're working and interacting with your company colleagues and all, still you're wearing it. Do you wish that kind of garment
I think
should
we
have been
have
there?
it. I think we
You have
have
it?
it. I think we have
Okay.
it. I think we have it. I mean, the whole industry, actually, not just Sorty. I mean, we have amazing
Mm.
products and concepts that we are introducing with the coming collection, but it's not just Sorty. It's the whole industry that we have been constantly innovating and innovating, and maybe innovating even without really informing the customers in depth. So it's time to go in
To
depth
bring them,
rather than
yeah.
to constantly develop. Now we have the time to really sit across somebody and talk about one single product, and try to relate to the beauty of it, the technology behind it, the concept behind it. Because so much work goes on actually in coming up with one concept. And sometimes, most of the time, you don't really have the time to really talk about that to your customers. So I think now we have that chance, and that's why we're trying to integrate into our digital collection as well.
That's great. So anything else you would like to say to the denim community, your friends, and a lot of people are also there online right now, or anybody else from your side or from Surti side?
We all have to like look into the future with a big heart and a big mind. And this is very important to stay still positive. Very tough times globally, and we're all in this together, and we will come out of this together. So it's very important to really communicate, you know, even like on an individual basis, to ask how we are feeling, how the other person is feeling, reach out to each other, because we relate to one another. So we do. I mean, people from the industry relate to one another in a more profound way, I think. So our friendship, for instance, with you is over the so many different years, and we've always remained in contact. This is an industry built on trust and on really collaborative approaches, and it's through friendships, it's through, you know, great ideas we put all together. So let's stay positive and let's stay healthy and safe.
And any 2 or 3 keywords which you feel are the strongest keywords for you during this time? Any, you know, whether it's personal or professional or whatever.
Authenticity, responsibility, and compassion.
All right, that's great. That was a wonderful talk, Ebru.
Thank you, Sandeep.
And it was really, you know, because we in the last few years we have been always been meeting at the shows and all, and you know, now it's time to really go digital, and we are talking to each other and facing each other digitally. So
yes,
it's a
thank
new
you for
experience.
doing this for the industry. You are really bringing a lot of people together and building a great archive. So thank you for all the work that you are doing.
I thank you, sir. That's so nice of you. And I also want to thank my team. My entire team is working very hard. You know, I think probably we are working more than we were working in normal times, and everybody is involved. And we, you know, the videos are short and converted into articles, and everything is, you know, it's a lot of work they are doing. So I want to thank my team profusely. They are really working very hard, and my daughters and my, you know, wife also very much involved in this, helping me a lot. So I want to thank everybody.
My heartfelt gratitude to them as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Ebru. Bye-bye.
Stay safe. Bye.
Thank you.